The name on the FTX Arena, the home to the Miami Heat, is going to change. Miami-Dade is going to end the 19-year deal that was worth $135 million.
The steep and sudden collapse of FTX cryptocurrency exchange this week, including bankruptcy, comes with financial fallout for the public and for the Miami Heat. In the span of about 24 hours, Miami-Dade Mayor Daniella Levine Cava went from a wait-and-watch position, announcing the county is ending the arena naming deal with FTX. And she joins us right now live. Mayor, great to see you.
Mayor, welcome. We are glad you could join us. So what comes next? Who is going to get do you have a prospect for naming rights for the arena?
We do not yet have a prospect, but the climate has changed substantially. When the last deal was negotiated, it was after a couple of years of no naming. Right. And we did our due diligence, and we've collected $20 million on that deal and funded a major initiative, the Peace and Prosperity Plan. So definitely, we are very hopeful that in this market, there will be others who would like to see their names up in light on the arena.
So a question about that process, because it was $5.5 million a year is coming to the county and earmarked for the Peace and Prosperity Plan and for gun violence reduction and for poverty programs, which are, to your point, ongoing. And the next $5.5 million is actually due in January. So FTX and all its issues at the moment is not in arrears. So why break the deal before having another?
So part of the contract says that if the company enters into bankruptcy proceedings, that the deal can be terminated. So we're just reading what's going on. And we have to be aggressive in moving forward because we have an obligation to the Heat to have a named arena. And we have to proceed to explore other options.
Yeah. Madam Mayor, let's move on, if we can, to another big story you're involved in this week. And that was your veto of this nearly 400-acre industrial complex in Deep South Dade beyond the urban development boundary line. Very briefly, why did you veto it?
Michael, no need, no demonstrated benefit, and bad for the environment, bad for our water supply, opposed by experts from federal to state level, including Senator Marco Rubio, the Farm Bureau, many residents, and the commissioner of the district. So just simply not needed is the first thing. That's the threshold that the county planning department looks to. The availability of commercial land, industrial land within the urban development boundary meant that there was no established need for breaching this urban development boundary.
You know, while we've been following this since the first of 4 deferrals, and the process was very contentious, as you know. Last week on this program, we had Commissioner Raquel Regalado, who was the vote that changed, that allowed the supermajority for this to go through. And she brought up some interesting things that I wish I had thought of at the beginning. And one of the things that she had said was, why do we take applications to move the line if we don't want to move the line? Which I thought was a pretty simple question that I wish I had thought of. But why does the county even take applications if the UDB should be so set in stone?
So the Community Development Master Plan, CDMP process, provides for exceptions. It provides for considerations. It's not set in stone, but need is the first requirement. And that simply has not been established. There are too many compelling countervailing forces to approve this application. It doesn't mean that other applications might not be considered. In fact, there are other applications pending that may be approved. Coming up actually this week. So there's it is not fixed in stone, and we have a planning department that advises us what's best for our future. And that is what this planning department did. An excellent job. And despite 4 times coming up with changes based on hoping to persuade more commissioners, the facts still remain.
Yeah. You know, the argument, Madam Mayor, by Commissioner Regalado and by the developers is, look, we cut the project in half. We have made it, as eco-friendly as it can be, and it will provide thousands of jobs. Who knows how many, but a lot of jobs for people in South Dade who have to commute 30, 40 miles up north every day one way and then back the other. So what about that argument, the economic argument?
So we do not have any guarantee of the jobs. We do not know what the project plans exactly are. Another requirement of the planning process when you're changing land use is to actually say what you plan to develop. So despite the fact that there were developers present, nobody said as to the bulk of this project what exactly it would include. There is legally no guarantee of the salaries for the jobs. And we have a very low unemployment rate right now. So we don't know exactly what the net benefit will be from an economic perspective. As far as scaling down the project, all the more reason we don't have a need, because there exists within the urban development boundary, including in South Dade, space to create warehouses and commercial space. That is the general proposal here.
So why wouldn't the developers then look at those other areas instead of working so hard, including offering double the number of acreage to replace this as part of the deal? Well, why not go somewhere else? Did you ever sort of broach that with them?
So the planning department directly provided them information about alternatives. I cannot answer the question because we do not know exactly what is planned there, but I can imagine that this property will go up substantially in value, as Commissioner Cohen-Higgins described, threefold, let's say, and that there's a huge profit to be made from flipping this property. So that is actually part of the concern. Planning needs to come with a specific proposal so that it can be evaluated. And in this case, there is fear that this is a deal for speculation purposes.
Mayor Levine Cava, we only have less than a minute left. Let me just ask you, this is going to come back before the Miami-Dade County Commission on Tuesday. For your veto to be sustained, you've got to have one commissioner change his or her mind or one commissioner absent. What is your feeling? What's going to happen?
I don't have my crystal ball clearly on this one, but I have been working, as have many others, including in government agencies, to try to make sure that the implications, the bad precedent setting is known to those who will be voting, and trusting that they will realize that this is not the right time and place to move the urban development boundary line.
All right, that is going to be the final word. We're so glad we could speak with you this morning. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
If you find your crystal ball, we'd like to use it.
Thank you so much to you both.